Are we on? Yes.
No
Hei vaan. Seuraavaksi Sprinttistripin palkintojen jakoon liittyvää ohjelmaa. Sprinttistrip-kilpailu on kansainvälinen, joten käymme tämän ohjelman englannin kielellä. Haluammeko istua? Do we want to sit?
Kyllä me voimme istua ja tervetuloa Oulun sarjakuvafestivaaleille kaikille ja minulle myös.
So,
Tämä ilmeisesti striimataan tälle suurelle kansainväliselle yleisölle, joten meidän täytyy siksi puhua englantia, mutta ehkä te ymmärrätte.
Yes, the sprint strip competition is international competition. So hello to our international audiences through the internet, and therefore we'll be having this discussion in English. I am Mikko Jylhä, your last-minute replacement host, and first on the stage is Ville Ranta, the other judge on the sprint strip competition.
No, I'm not. As far as I know, I'm not judge, but I can be if you want.
Okay. As a last-minute replacement, I'm ill-informed. So we are here talking of strips, but you are here talking also on your work related to strips.
Yes, that's very possible.
Yeah.
I'm very honored to be here.
Yeah. So the question I want to pose for you, since we are talking of comic strips, and you have published very, very thick books and done political cartoons, and strips are on the between. How do you see your work in relation to comic strips?
It's quite related. A comic strip is not so much different. Of course, it's very much different from graphic novels or long stories. But compared to cartoons, the difference is not so big. Actually, they are very near to each other. A comic strip and a cartoon. Cartoon only like traditionally has one panel, and strips have traditionally 3 panels. But there is also one panel strips and several panels cartoons. So actually the line between the two is not clear. It's more about the subjects. Cartoons are often or normally about society and politics and other newspaper news subjects, and they are related to journalism. But as art, they are more or less the same thing.
Yes. One aspect of this competition is that it is a sprint strip competition. This time the sprint meant 5 days.
It's not a sprint.
Yes.
In Kemi, it was like half an hour.
Yeah. And in that regard, I also want to ask from you, since you do political cartoons, which has to be very fast reactionary type of thing, whereas the typical newspaper strip is detached from daily events. How should I say this? How much does improvisation, I know you are one of the pioneers of improvisational comics in Finland. How big role does improvisation play in your work nowadays? Reacting to daily events or doing your longer books?
In cartoons, I can use improvising a lot in the drawing part of the work, but the idea, of course, I have to like structure the idea. I have to have the idea when I start drawing. That is not improvising, but I don't have to plan the drawing itself beforehand. My normal everyday technique doing cartoons is that I draw my idea a few times, and that is a way to do both. An idea that is that has been well thought through, and the rhythm has been tested, but anyway the result is free and loose, and that's what I aim to do with all of my cartoons. What comes to comics, improvisation has more space to move. So for example, nowadays comics, when the form is quite free, because the paging is not limited, the paneling is not limited, and I don't use panels at all, and that is related to exactly to improvisation, because I do a page at a time, so that gives me the possibility to draw freely. But of course, improvisation is not a very simple thing, because it depends on the mood and the flow and stuff like that. It's very complicated actually. And the idea that improvising is easier than do structured work is not correct. Improvisation is more difficult, and it doesn't even take less time. It depends, of course, on comics are also a lot of hard work, whether you improvise or not. Improvising a comic book or graphic novel, it needs a lot of work and a lot of versions, etc. But maybe finally the improvisation is not that opposite to the ordinary comics work. It's just a different different way to create the same kind of result.
Yeah. So this leads to why you are here. You have just published a book, The Wine Drinkers, or just this year, which tells of your younger years in Oulu, and your thoughts on improvisation were developed during those younger years, weren't they?
That's right, yes.
Does it show in the book?
Well, in a way, because at the time, about in 2002 or 2003, I started using improvisation, and it meant practically that I started to do sketchbooks every day. And that was very familiar activity in Liminka Art School, as you know, because you were there too. At the time I started lecturing in Liminka in 2003, at exactly the same time when I got this almost religious idea of that improvising comics is the thing. And it was the thing for me, but because I was a young guy, so I thought that it must be the thing for everyone, and that was the beginning of the great suffering of the students in Liminka, because I forced them to improvise every day for hours, and they started to call me Nazi. But as I did a lot of sketchbooks at the time, and I still do, I was able to use them to create this graphic novel. I had a lot of material ready. I had done sketchbook diaries of those years in Kaltio magazine. I had made a lot of remarks of our redaction gatherings and nights in bars and all of that. So it helped. So that way.
Yes. One more thing before we jump to next subject and next people. You are in Oulu due to that book now. Are you talking more of that book tomorrow? Or
Tomorrow at 4, yes.
Yeah, and people can find you and the book at the comics market in the Great Hall all day tomorrow.
Yes, the book is already on at Sarjakuva-kauppa available there. It arrived today, like myself. So, welcome. I don't know if it's open now. It is. It must be.
Yeah.
It would be silly to close it now.
Everything is silly. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we'll invite Katka. You can have a rest.
Kakka.
Katka. Kateřina Čupová.
Tervetuloa.
Our international guest. I believe you need to sit here since our other international guest. Kiitos. Should be appearing on the screen. Einar Masson should be. We are trying to reach Einar Masson, who is one of the awarded competitors on the comics comic strip sprint competition. So maybe while we wait for Einar, I'll ask 2 words from Kateřina. We'll be talking more later. Your relation to this competition, you've seen the works.
Yes.
And what did you think of them?
There was a lot of different things, like really different. Some of them more cartoony, some of them more abstract. So it was really hard to judge because, like, judge something that is just feeling versus something that is like comics, comedy storyline is kind of like based on the what judge just like, I guess. So yes, it was kind of hard to judge them because you have to like find like, and some of them were drawn really nicely, and some of them were drawn really quickly, but have very nice plot twists. So it was like hard to choose. Like, shall I choose something that is very well drawn, or something that is more like fresh, but like with interesting plot twist? Yeah.
You were asked to be a judge on this competition since you are the residential artist, this year's Oulu Comics Center residential artist, staying at Liminka Art School. So, had you heard of this competition, Sprint Strip World Championship, ever before? Had you taken part?
Yes, I heard about it, but it was always like before or after. So I was always late for this one actually, so I never take part. Otherwise, I kind of like these challenges, so I would take part, but since I'm not like, how to say, saving all the contests in my timetable, it always like, you know, you...
So, Einar should be online, maybe, now.
Hello, hello.
Einar is there.
Can you hear me?
Can you bring the laptop here?
Sorry?
Mitä?
We can hear him, we can see him.
I can hear you. I cannot see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're all even.
Okay.
Maybe I'll leave the 2 of you talking now, since I have terrible ears and I can't tell anything about this.
Yes. So, do you have some question I should ask Einar?
Probably, Einar, how did you learn of the competition, and how did you feel about the 5 days time limit of doing a comic strip?
I don't remember how I learned of this competition originally. It's been a few years now. I think I must have heard it through our friends at Helsinki Comic Society. They must have directed us to you. I also participated last year. Won last year, no big deal. Really regarding the 5-day limit, I like it. I think it gives you like structure and a nice little bit of pressure. I know it doesn't work for everybody. I worked on my entry along with a few friends who were also going to enter their strips, but they just couldn't make it work, which is fair enough. They have families and full-time jobs. So.
Yeah, I'll interrupt here quickly. If anyone wants to see the piece that Einar entered this competition, it can be seen at Masson Art in Instagram, and it's the post that is pinned on as first one, right?
And Einar, your strip was one of the longer strips, like you have how much pages? 8 pages?
Yes.
And do you, how to say, are you more comfortable with more pages? Or it was just because you like the theme this year that you draw so many pages?
It depends on my mood and the subject. I did 8 panels this year. Well, 7 panels on the title page, and I did 8 panels last year as well. I'm comfortable working in smaller work. I've done like newspaper strips that were like 3 or 4 panels, so I've had a lot of practice. That was a lot of fun. And having a little more extra space just gave me more time and space to sort of work through my thoughts and try and get my point across.
And the characters in your comics are based on real people and real events?
Not exactly. They're not really based on real people. They're just a couple of characters that I had around that I liked and I wanted to use. Real events, kind of, sort of. The title of the story is "This is a Metaphor," so in case you missed it. And so in that sense, it's based on real events, as in it's happening right now.
Yes, I have to apologize. I have terrible ears and didn't understand understood only half of this. One thing I wanted to ask. I'm just browsing through your comic. This last sentence. This is a metaphor.
Yes.
Did you? How much was it pre-planned that this needs to have this sentence at the end, or did you try it with it, without it?
When I finished the story, I felt like the metaphor was too heavy-handed. I felt like I could have used a lighter touch when I wrote this. So I figured I'd just lampshade it by calling the story "This is a Metaphor," as if to say, as if there's any doubt. Obviously, it's a metaphor. But these days, the thing about making things idiot-proof is they keep coming up with smarter idiots. So, just to idiot-proof it, I tell people, this is a metaphor. I'm trying to tell you something here. It's not just about what's happening on the page.
Yeah. The other thing about heavy-handedness, this is drawn digitally, obviously, And since it's a comic strip competition, usually comic strip is thought to be something that is read pretty fast during lunch hour on newspaper. Would this be the style if you had been drawing a single page comic for printed publication or comic book, or how much the fact that this is a comic strip affect your style of drawing or storytelling?
I think it definitely affected the panel designs. I think I would have played more with the layout if I'd had more, shall we say, traditional space. I think I might have edited my word count a little more. I feel like I got a little too wordy in there. But mainly, yeah, I think I would like to maybe spread it out over a couple of pages, like 3-4 pages even, and really play around with the environment more and get more into details and create more depth in the world of the story. But we had 5 days and nobody is getting paid, so I was trying to have fun.
Yes. Thank you. I think that is all we had time for, and congratulations on your participation on the competition. And for the audience here, our technique failed us, but this comic and others by Einar can be found on E-Mason Art. E-Mason Art. How do you pronounce that in Icelandic?
I pronounce it E-Mason Art.
Okay, so hopefully people can find
pretty
it.
much, yeah, similar to, it's 2 S's, E-M-A-S-S-O-N, art.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next up on the stage, we should be having people whose names I cannot pronounce either. Thread creator and pyroman are those kinds of people around here. There. Have a seat and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okei, sanotko vielä? Okay, like this way, yeah. So congratulations. Far as I heard, you won the competition, right? Yeah, big congratulations. And since the competition was held through Instagram, I only know you by your Instagram usernames. Would you like to introduce yourself properly to the audience?
Well, hi, I am Pyromon. I wrote the comic strip. And I am thread creator, and we use our artist names because we love them. And we also publish other comics with those names, so that's why they are our artist names.
Great. Well, you are here with artist names and as a cooperation. Is that how you usually work?
Yes. And yes, I am the artist of this comic strip that we created, and Pyromon wrote it. And we usually we have made 2 comic publishments earlier for international audience. It's called Pal-O and Pal-O Comics. Yes, and yes, so they are long comics, and we have published those in digital platform.
So, we are basically a small comic team from Oulu.
Can you tell which platforms they can be found on?
Oh, you mean the Pal-O comics? Yeah, so we publish them, self-publish them digitally on the Reader app. It is like a self-publishing platform for digital comics.
Is your team working only on comics or other arts as well?
Well, I am actually a game artist, and I've been a game artist for last 10 years, and I also have a degree in fine arts, but for the last year I have been also focusing in comics, and Palo Comics has been my passion for the last year.
Yeah, I've also been in the comics for the last year, and before that I also worked in the gaming industry and in data analytics, and now I'm doing comics.
So what made you drift away from Palo and into the comics competition? Was it something in the theme that inspired you, or just the exposure?
So that's a very good question. Actually, we've been working with the Palo Comics for very hectically over the past year, and we had a vacation actually during that time when there was this competition, and we saw the competition and we were like, oh yeah, that would be nice and freeing experience to do something different for a moment, and so we just wanted to participate, even though we don't really like fame and glory. It was promised for the winners, but still. Do you want to say anything?
Was this winning comic strip a typical storytelling, typical art on what you do, or did it differ much of the Palo thing?
Well, Palo is very long comic. It's like we have published 2 issues and it is like 50 pages each. So this was like fast and short format, but I think otherwise it's like quite similar.
Yeah, it has like similar things, but yeah, I mean like the art style, for example, is quite similar, and the storytelling, it has plot twists, and it has like this kind of bit raw ink and interesting colors. But I mean, like this was more, the competition was more about like a slice of life kind of a comic, but our Palo is more of a like science fiction, and it tells about life inside computers.
Okay, your slice of life entry was about 2 people camping, sleeping in a tent, hearing noises and starting to imagine what those noises are. Is this a real life story?
Yes, it is based on true events. Basically, when I wrote it, we were in Lapland, in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, and then I took paper and pen and I wrote it, and I wanted it to be like self-ironic, and yeah, it is based on true events.
And was it reindeers making the noises?
Sorry?
Was it reindeers making the noises? You'll never know.
It's not, well, it's not that closely to reality, but yes, the reindeers make funny sounds, so come to Lapland and experience it yourself.
So, what are your plans on Oulu Comics Festival? Since you are here, are you planning to promote your works, or are you just stray away from fame and glory and be just audience?
Actually, we have an exhibition tomorrow, so come and see and say hi.
Exhibition?
Exhibition here. We have a pop-up.
Pop-up exhibition in this building?
Yes, tomorrow.
Great. Are you presenting it at some way, or?
Yes, we have the Palo comic exhibition there, and it's going to be fun.
So we have like art, Palo comic related art, and a lot of other cool stuff. So if you want to know more about what we are working on, you should definitely come see that. And also like Palo is also Finland's first on-chain comic, so it is a piece of history there too.
I do know that there are people in Oulu coming to the comics festival that are also interested in gaming industry. Since you made the mistake of mentioning that, that you have worked there, can people ask questions of gaming industry from you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Even though it's not comics related, or is it?
Well, our comic, our Pallo comic is actually using a lot of similar ways to express itself, as games do, and we are heavily inspired by game graphics and computer graphics about this kind of millennial culture, which also our names are indicating that we are kind of user names. It's some sort of a virtual reality that we have been creating.
And yeah, Pallo was first supposed to be a game, and well, we are a small 2-person team, so making a game takes a lot of time and resources. So comics were we had a chance to do comics because we were asked to do that, and they have a lot of similarities because comics have similar movement in them. And when I write comics, I always think about them as a game or moving image.
The competition was held on Instagram platform. Working on a given platform must be kind of a familiar ground then to both of you, to have the restrictions and possibilities of a given platform.
Yeah, the Instagram has been quite familiar to me. I have published before different kinds of art pieces in Instagram. And when I have been creating games, I have always been thinking about this, how to make them mobile friendly and how to read, for example, how to read comics on your mobile phone. And that's what we have been doing with Pallo comics, that we are making them very mobile optimized and user friendly. So making something for Instagram, it was quite nice and simple. So it was quite familiar.
So does it interest you to do ever the traditional comic strip, a newspaper comic strip type of format? Would it present any new challenges?
Yeah, it's quite different. Yes, so probably it would be something that would need some practice at first. But I have read a lot of those kind of comic strips too. So that would be a nice challenge, maybe someday.
Yeah, I am open to write basically anything. I would also be interested to write a longer comic album, and we are actually planning to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, we are planning to actually create 8 episodes for our Pallo comics, and it's going to be 400 pages.
Have you started working on it yet?
Yes, yeah. We have published already 2, and we have produced over 100 pages.
Published them online or on paper?
Online. It's available on D-Reader, called app, and that's what we have been doing the past year.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Anything more? If not, maybe congratulations again on your victory, and we'll invite Kateřina back on stage. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a big victory for us.
Welcome back. So now we have more time to talk of your work. So to introduce again, Kateřina is in Oulu as a residential comic artist for the Oulu Comics Center, and she is doing her residency in the Liminka School of Arts. for 2 months. This is the latter of those 2 months. Firstly, how have you liked your stay up here in North?
What?
How have you liked your stay up here in North?
Yes, it was very nice, very very interesting, and I didn't do my research before a lot. So I was firstly thinking that I will be maybe staying in Oulu, in the big town, but then I'm staying in Liminka, which is not much like change for me since I'm staying at the village normally. So yeah, so it's quite nice, and Liminka is very nice environment for drawing. So yeah.
The little that I've seen your work before, lots of it looks, how to say, rather mountainy. They are like, I can see the surroundings where you have lived. In your drawings, you live amongst hills or mountains.
Yeah.
Mountains looking from here, hills looking from your perspective. Do you think that the flat and dark landscapes you have met here will be seen in your drawings later on?
It's something really different. I already draw some short comics where like in Liminka I draw them, where I use more flat landscape because, yes, I love hiking and I did a lot of comics about hiking. So it's a very different landscape for me to draw. And I'm trying to enjoy it. I did also some hiking around Liminka in swamps, so this is something I never seen before. Swamp so huge, so it's interesting to me.
Yeah. So tell us more about your work. What kind of things you usually do?
I do a lot of different things, and I studied animation. I kind of make living from animation and from teaching at school animation. And I also published 2 comics albums. And in my country, comics is not so big thing as in Finland. It was also interesting for me to see how huge comic scene is in Finland compared to my country. And my country has more people than Finland, but like comics scene there is like 20 people. But like we have really big animation scene, so I'm usually doing more animation, and comics is this kind of thing that I did like, during COVID I published my first album and my second album after it, and then I do a lot of short comic for internet, and I also really enjoy the contests and challenges to like try different styles, because with animation you usually have to do very strict art style for a long time, and the project is really tiny, and so in the comics you can do more experiments. So this is what I enjoy in comics. So when you see my portfolio, it's usually kind of like a lot of different styles. Maybe even things on exhibition here are kind of like different medias and different styles.
Yes, good that you mentioned the exhibition, since for me, for the past 2 decades, the main thing about comics festivals is, well, the people, yes, but the exhibitions. And Kateřina has an excellent exhibition here in Oulu Comics Center, in that corridor.
No, it's already in,
They moved it.
Yes, it's on the wall, yeah.
On which wall?
It's on the, you will find it, it's on the one of the walls.
Okay. Yeah, but the same pieces that were in the corridor. Yeah. So tell us more of the pieces that are found in the exhibition.
Yeah. I actually don't remember much what is there, but I guess there is things for my comics album for children, which is and there is also my comics album, like my it's fairy tale story, kind of inspired by Czech village. So when you go through it, you kind of get feeling or places where I grew up. And but also there is a lot of fantasy things inside it. And then I have some short stories for different zines and albums. In Czech, like, since the scene is quite little, we stick together, so we do more of the publishing. Like a lot of people publish 4-page comics together, so this is kind of common. So I have a few of these there. So you have to search a little bit in all this publication for my work.
Yeah, you mentioned you do lots of variation or different kinds of experiments or so forth. There were many different techniques also shown in the exhibition. Yeah. Do you have a favorite technique? Do you like to vary? And what kinds of technical things can we see in the exhibition?
For me, like place where I am really safe is ink and ink wash and like basic, maybe basic colors with colored ink. But if I since in comics I can do something challenging, I sometimes do even collage or like the digital media or more painting in comics, but still I kind of enjoy that comics is done quickly, so ink is my favorite medium.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier when we talked in Liminka that your sketchbooking and maybe story writing has developed during your studying years or in the school years, but also on the train ride from home to school. So do you have different tools for different occasions? Like do you have some tools at home, some at work, or how do you separate them?
Yes, like I try drawing with ink on trains, even with watercolors. It's possible. In the Czech we have like a lot of train lines, so like from my village you can go like anywhere just by train. So yeah, I draw a lot on train, and I use liners mostly on trains or ballpoint pen, but I don't have any like brand that I like. I usually like how to say it? I usually like buy something, then I use it till I lost it, then I lost it, and I buy something new. So it kind of really depends. So my sketchbook comics are kind of messy.
And if you had space, unlimited space, would you still use the same mediums as now, or would you like to expand to something else?
I think like for me it's kind of thing why I'm drawing comics, not animation, is because like I can tell stories in comics, and like still it's kind of like when I'm drawing it slowly, I really tend to get stuck because I'm overthinking it, and I'm usually thinking like about all different meanings that my readers usually don't notice. So yes, I think I will be still using it, even with limited space, my favorite ink, because it's quite quick, and yeah, so like, and I can tell long stories with it. Yeah.
So storytelling wise, comics is an unlimited space. What subjects or what emotions or where do your stories tend to go?
Yeah.
Is there anything you do frequently, or do you scope around everywhere?
I found out that like almost every genre I try ends up to be comedy. Like even when I'm doing my DR comics, even when I do like some heavier theme or horrors, it kind of ends up in comedy because I have it maybe in me that like, yeah, I don't believe my things when they are too serious, so I usually like kind of twist it always to comedy. And like few times I did also some really serious historical comics, but it was, I really remember that it was kind of like hard work for me. It was like really this big challenge to make this like comics about historic figure that is like very stiff, very serious, and like really putting it together took me so long time. But like it was a nice challenge, but like my comfort zone is comedy. And so I did sci-fi, I did like chart book, I did diary comics, but all of them have this comedy turn, I guess.
Yeah. Is there favorite thing to draw? Is there something that you find specifically comical or contradiction to the comedy? Do you find something that strengthens the comedy by being something else?
Like for me, typical, like easy to draw things is, for example, my dog. I just made a scene about my dog, and my dog is kind of ugly thing from dog shelter, so it's like very comedy looking, like all the time. So like it's just, I can draw only comedy about this dog. And like, yeah, I have these comfort things that, for example, I found out when I'm drawing cars in my comics, it's always Škoda Favorit or Škoda 100, because this is like most typical car in Czechia in 90s when I was growing up. So like this is my comfort car. I can draw everything with it, and then I like noticed that all cars on the streets are always this only. So like I have to really watch out for not drawing Škoda Favorit everywhere, because like it's kind of old car already. Like it's not in use much more. So yeah, and like for the more serious things, I think I kind of enjoy comics also because I can change the narration thanks to the stylization, thanks to drawing. So I sometimes tend to like find something that is like more abstract, for example, when I'm doing serious things, when I drew something with like, I will not draw it with pen, I will draw it with stick, some maybe, to not make like these funny faces, but make it more like distance for the reader. So I think I would like change the mediums for serious drawings.
And your backgrounds tend to turn towards abstraction, kind of away from realism. I just today got your little mini scene from you about the dog. Is it your dog?
Yes, this is my dog.
Yeah, and you printed several of those, so they can be found at the Liminka Art School table tomorrow, as a hint to all of you.
If you want to see my ugly dog, it will be on the table.
Yeah. Do you? No, you don't need to have a portfolio here since you have an exhibition here.
Yeah.
That's handy. Anything more? We have maybe time for one question. We have 10 minutes. We have time for several questions. We have been fast.
Yeah, this is like a really good question, I guess, because I grew up on comics. There was for like year 1940. Like in the 90s, I was reading comics. Then my great-grandfather was reading, and it's still like most popular comics in my country. And it's kind of funny now because, for example, I think each country has its own turn. I think in Czechia it was much more worse than in Poland, for example. But yes, but I'm living at Czech-Polish border. So like from young age, I was able to go to Polish library and like read comics that I didn't understand much, but I love pictures. So I think this is the reason why I got to do comics also, because in the Poland there was much more comics than in Czechia. And I think now, today it's already like getting better, but like still it's like, how to say, hard to make a living. Like I think there are like 3 people making living of the comics in Czechia, but like we still have this like huge animation background, and a lot of people is doing like, for example, small things for zines. And we have in my generation, people from born in 90s, there is a lot of female comics authors, like much more than male actually, because I think there was this popular TV series for girls with like these magical girls, and like all of girls my age love them, and then we all started drawing comics, so we have like kind of big scene like this. And then still there is a lot of historical comics published in Czechia, because it's kind of like, yes, we can sell it to kids, the history this way. So like you can usually get grant for your book if you are doing something about Czech history. So when you are Czech author, you usually go for this. Yeah. So.
But you have a big publishing house, Centrala, which means that you are at least better than the Hungarians who have only Blanco Enero, which is, they have only Alta Bayer, only one guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes. But like Centrala, isn't it also Polish? And isn't it like Czech and Polish? Yes, it's Czech Polish. Yes, it's only Czech. Okay. I was not sure if it's not both country. Yes, we have like more publishing houses, but like for example, I also have written book for child books, and this is like completely different editorial system. Like when I was doing editorial for book, we have like big tradition of illustration and big tradition of books. So like, yes, so this was like completely different story publishing this. At the comics, it was like my first print of my album. I was really sad about it, because like they just didn't get the right color, anything. They were not listening to me. They were like, they have no idea about how to publish comics. So like second edition was good one, but like first edition was just, I was so sad because it was 250 pages watercolors, and like they somehow did it that like didn't print any yellow in it, like something like this.
But then again, you have this great graphic history.
Yeah.
These countries, I mean, they are the best in poster art in all
Yeah.
the world, and they have had this huge original graphic design history in 1960s, which was so controversial. There was nothing like that in Crocodile.
Yeah.
It's like, but I really think that it's the way to go is autobiographic comics and feminist comics.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to relive the superhero comics. I really think so.
Yes, I think now you said it, because most popular comics, I think in Czechia now is comic by woman that is same age as me, and it's autobiographical. It's about, and it's very feminist, and it's now like translated into different languages. And in Finland, it was inspirational for me, this autobiographical genre, but like I kind of like doing more like genre comics, like sci-fi. It's like and comedies, like it's my own stuff, but like I can see how the autobiography is like, how to say, I think my books are read mostly by people who read comics, but like books of autobiography are read also by people who are like interested in feministic themes, or like today's like LGBTQ theme. Like, it kind of can get out of this bubble of comic reader. Like you are not just reading superhero stuff, you are reading like the autobiography. So I really seen how her books was popular. Like a lot of people who are not reading comics at all started reading comics thanks to her. So it was. Yeah. I thank you for the answer, because for the question, because you just like said it, like really the answer. Yes, I always get the Czech cons question about why are you not drawing superheroes, and like I enjoy superheroes. I sometimes draw superheroes, but like I kind of enjoy doing it kind of twisted also. Like it's just like.
We have maybe 1 minute less, and I want to ask one last thing, or a notion I made from this conversation you had to the exhibition you have and the drawing style you have. Those influences show the old Eastern European children's illustration style from the 40s. There it shows, but also the manga and the Magic Girls influence shows in your work.
Yes, I'm kind of our manga, like Czech manga author.
Is it deliberate? Have you deliberately taken those influences, or is it just natural?
Yes, of course. I think I'm drawing comics because I really love reading comics, and this is maybe also why I like doing genre comics, even superhero comics, but because I enjoy reading comics. And usually when I'm reading something, I'm really like, I want to try this, but with different twists. So I kind of like really easy to like change the style. It's for me.
Thank you, Kateřina. Thank you, audience. Thank you, audience online. Someone else will be continuing here.